Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create very nice topology inside PNETLab. In previous videos, which the links, of course, you can find in the description down below, I have showed you how you can download and install PNETLab inside VMware. Also, you can install it inside VirtualBox. I showed you how you can add images to PNETLab, and in this section, I'm going to show you how you can create the topologies. But before continuing, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that notification bell and the thumbs up. This is going to help support the channel a lot. Now, let's log into PNETLab. I have showed you how you can start PNETLab. If you don't know the username and password, that's okay, because you can see here it says that the default account is admin and the password is going to be pnet. So I'm going to type admin here and pnet as a password. Also, there's a captcha down there. I'm going to type in the value that I can see here. Okay, now that I am in this environment, you can see that I already have created some labs here, but if you haven't, this is going to be an empty page for you. There are different sections in here. At the left side, you can create labs. You can create folders for your labs. At the right side, you can see a preview of the lab that you have created. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is to start with a new folder. I always create new folders for different labs that I am creating. Let's say that I'm creating sub labs for CCNP studies. So what I'm going to do is to go to here. You can see that it says add new folder button here. I can click on that, and then I'm going to type in the value here. So it is going to be CCNP. And of course, I need to delete the default name CCNP labs here and hit enter. By clicking somewhere else, you can see that the CCNP labs folder is going to be created for me. What I'm going to do is to enter this lab just by clicking on the name. Now you see that there is no lab inside this folder. To create a new lab, you can click on this sheet button here. It says add new lab, and I'm going to click on that, and it gives me a bunch of options here to fill in. The only thing that is necessary is the name of the lab that you're going to create here. So let's say that this is going to be lab 1. So I'm going to type lab 1 here, and it says what's the version number. So if you change the lab from time to time, then you can add the version numbers. You don't have to change the version at all, as a matter of fact. And also we have the author name. What I'm going to do is to type in my name, so that's going to be the author name, and there are some other options here which we are going to discuss in a later video. But what I'm going to do right now is just to click on add here to create the lab for me. By creating the lab, I'm going to enter this environment. In this environment, all I see is just a picture here. That's going to be the PNETLab pictures logo. So we can, of course, add some pictures later. But what I'm going to do is to delete this by right-clicking and clicking on delete. Okay, now that I have entered the environment, what I need to do is to add node. So if I right-click here, you can see that I have some options. One of them is to add nodes here. Also, I can do this from here by just going over this slider menu, and you can see it says add an object. By clicking on that, the same drawer is going to open for me. Now, what kind of objects am I going to create? The first one is nodes. As a matter of fact, we are going to discuss this right here. So I click on that, and the types of nodes that you see here are the types that you have already uploaded the image for. So the only thing that I have image for is Cisco IOL for L3 Cisco routers, also Cisco IOL L2, which is a type of switch that I have for that. So I'm going to add some routers here. So what I'm going to do is to click on Cisco IOL, and there is a box here which opens, and it asks you what you need to add here. First of all, if you want to see all the devices, you can click on show all unsupported. Now you can see that the list of devices that you can add is a long list, but the only thing that is enabled is the ones that you have uploaded image to. Right now, what I'm going to do is to choose Cisco IOL, and now you can see that I have uploaded several images for Cisco IOL. I'm going to choose one of them. Let's say, for example, L3 Advanced MS 15.22T. This is one of the most unstable images, as a matter of fact. But what I'm going to do is to click on here and choose this one. Now it says how many of these routers or devices are you going to add to your environment. Let's say that I'm going to add 5 of them. So I just type 5 here, and then it says what is the prefix for the name of the devices that you are adding. So what I'm going to do is to type R here as the prefix, because these are routers. Now I can choose the icon. Now you are not limited in icon. If I click on that, you can see that several pages of different types of icons are here. And I am not even limited to this. If I do not like this, all I need to do is to go here and there is an upload button. I can click on that and I can add my custom picture to this environment. So what I'm going to do here is to go back and choose one of the routers. I'm going to go back one more time, and you can see that there are router blue, router green, router red, router yellow, router just router. And what I'm going to do is to choose this router as an icon. So by clicking on that and then clicking on select here, the next thing says the description. Do you want to add any description here? As a matter of fact, I'm not going to add any description because I'm not going to do anything with that. So the amount of NVRAM and RAM can be changed here. The default RAM size is going to be okay. And how many interfaces are you going to add to your router? Because this is IOL, so the type of interface that it has is Ethernet. And each module has 4 interfaces. So if I have one here, this is going to be a module that contains 4 interfaces. Because this is router, that's going to be enough. But if I want to add some serial module, I can do this right here. I'm going to increase the serial to 1. So I have one serial module and one Ethernet module, which is going to be something like 8 interfaces on my router. So if I go down, there are some other things. One of the very, very interesting ones is size. And size says you're not just limited to the default size of the icon there. You can increase the size of the icon or you can decrease the size of the icon. So let's say that I'm going to have a very big icon. I'm going to add 100 to the size, and that's going to be a 100 pixel icon in my environment for all of them, of course. But I can just change them one by one later. And it says where is the default place that is going to be inserted in the environment. So it says 222 pixels from left, 80 pixels from top, but we are going to move them, so this is not so necessary. And again, the other thing that I'm going to talk about is the config. So you can choose to have a default config or you can choose to export config. Whenever you export the config, like next time that the router is going to load, it's going to load the exported config. Sometimes I prefer the export, but here I don't really want to do anything. And also we have some options for IOL. If you want to change those options, you can just add the values right here. That's okay for me. I'm going to click on save, and 5 routers are going to be added to my environment. You can see that the size of the icon has increased dramatically. So this is what I want to do. Now what I'm going to do is to move them to different places. This is going to be here, this one here, this one here. Let's say that, for example, this one here and this one here. So I have router 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I'm going to do is to move them and place them in a place that I can see alignment here. This is going to be a little hard, but selecting using a Windows selection is going to help me a lot. So I'm going to select these 2 routers. I'm going to right click, and there is an option that says horizontal align. I'm going to click on them. Without any problem, they are going to be aligned horizontally. Also, I'm going to do the same thing on these 2. So I'm going to use a Windows selection, right click and click on horizontal align. Also, I'm going to do a vertical align on these 2. And the vertical align on these 2, which is going to help me beautify the environment. This one is going to be right here. Now let's go to the next option. So if I right click on this and go to edit, I can change anything about this specific router here. For example, if I want to change the image, the name, the icon, or anything that I want to change, you can see that you can go and change everything for any individual router that is in your environment, or any individual device, as a matter of fact. Okay, now let's go for the links. I can add some links to these devices. What I'm going to do is to go over the device. You can see this little plug icon here. If I move over that, that's going to increase in size. I'm going to grab it by left clicking. I'm not going to let go of the click. I'm going to drag this to the next device. Here I'm going to let go of my click, and now it says what interface from the first router is going to be, or first device as a matter of fact, is going to be connected to what interface of the second device. I'm going to choose one of the interfaces. Let's say that Ethernet 00 from the first device is going to connect to Ethernet 00 from the second device. And I'm going to click on Save. Now I can do the same thing for other routers. Let's say that I'm going to go to here. I'm going to drag this down to here. Then I'm going to say Ethernet 01 to Ethernet 01. So click on Save. I'm going to do the same thing here. Ethernet 01 to Ethernet 01. Save. Let's say that these two are going to be connected as well. Let's say that I'm going to create a full mesh here for these 4 routers. So this is going to go to here. Also, this one is going to go to here. Also, let's connect router 5. I'm going to connect this to these 2 routers, Ethernet 03 to 03, and save it. Also, Ethernet 03 to 03 is already taken. So let's say 00 to 00 or 03. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to click on Save. Now let's change the environment a little bit. Now you see that if I move my mouse over here, a zoom slider appears right here. I'm going to decrease the size of the whole environment, or I can increase it. Also, there is an icon here that says auto fit. If I click on that, that's going to increase or decrease the size of the devices in a way that the whole window is going to fit all the devices inside. So that's going to be a nice trick. Now, next thing, which is very, very beautiful, is to change the links here. You see that the links are straight links, but most of the time you do not really want the straight links. What I'm going to do is to go over one of the links and just right click. And you can see that by right clicking, it gives me an edit option here. Just click on that. And now on top bar, I have lots of different options. Like I said, these are the options that you cannot really find in free simulators. So the type is straight by default, but I can change it to Bezier, which is very interesting. You can see that I can even move the label. I can even make the labels disappear or appear. But here, this is Bezier. And if I want to increase or decrease the curviness, I can just go to here to curviness, and I can go with different values, 15, 20, 25, 30. And you see that I can just change the amount of curviness here. Let's say that I'm going to increase it so much. That's going to make it so beautiful. The other option here, which I really like, is flowchart. So if you have connections like the connection from router 2 to router 5, we can just go and use flowchart. I'm not going to do this here. Let me change this. I'm going to show you what flowchart is going to be on router 5 to 4 connection. So let's go with state machine. State machine is going to be the one which I'm going to use here. And I'm going to start with something like 50. You see that? It is going to give me a nice curve here. If you want the curve outside, you can just change the sign for that. So that's going to be minus 50, for example. And that's a very beautiful curve here. Also, I can change the color of the link here. Just change it with any color that you want. The style is going to be different. I can just go with dashed, with dotted, with dashed and dots, or with solid line. Let's say the solid line is going to be okay. Also, you can increase or decrease the thickness of the line. Let's say that I want to show the amount of bandwidth that I can have on this link. So what I'm going to do is to show this visually by increasing the width of that. For example, this one has a width of 5. It says that this is a very high speed link. Or I can decrease it to the default value and say that this is a normal link that I have here. Now, and in the end, we have a font size here that is going to be used for labels. So I click on Apply. What I'm going to do is to select these 2 routers. You can see that by right-clicking, there is an option that says Hide Labels. If I click on that, labels are going to disappear. If I click it again, the labels are going to go back. Now, what about the port labels? There is another option here that says if I click on that, the port labels are going to disappear for the selected routers, of course, or devices. And if I uncheck it, the port labels are going to be there. So let's have them for now. And I'm going to go to here and right click on this link and go to edit. And I'm going to go to state machine one more time. And let's say that I'm going to have 50 or let's send that 40 or 30. That's going to be okay. And the rest of the configuration, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to do the same thing here. So edit. So that's going to be 40. The type, of course, is going to be state machine. And let's say 40. That's too much. 30 is going to be okay. Also, I'm going to do the same thing on this link. So I'm going to right click and go to edit. I'm going to say change it to state machine and then 30 for this one. Okay, this is much more beautiful. Let's say that I'm going to increase it to 40 so that this is going to kind of mirror the other side. So I click on OK. What about these links? They do not really look beautiful. They are very straight and I don't really want this amount of straightness here. So what I'm going to do is to go to edit, and this time I'm going to go with flowchart. Flowchart is going to be much better in this case. And this flowchart, of course, you can see that there are sharp turns here. I just want to have a little curviness here. What I'm going to do is to go to round, and I'm going to increase the roundness to something like 10, which is much more beautiful, or even 15 or 20. 20 is going to be much better, right? And if I want to move this to the right or to the left, what I can do is to go to midpoint. I can just move it to the left or to the right. And in my case, I believe that center is going to be okay. So I'm not going to move it a lot. And the rest of the configuration is nice. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So what I'm going to do is to go to edit. I'm going to change it to flowchart. The roundness is going to be 20. And that's going to be okay. So I just click on apply. So now let's say that I'm going to add some shapes. Shapes are a little tricky inside this environment. What I need to do is to go to text here. You can see that inside this, I have some options like the shape itself. For example, if I want to make it a circle or an ellipse inside, I can just click on this. If I want to have a rectangle, I can click on this. Now that I have clicked on this, I can increase or decrease the size of the shape just by increasing or decreasing the size of this text box that I have been given. To color this shape, what I need to do is to go to here. Here there is a border. Also, there is a background. Do I want to have the same color for border as the background? Let's say yes. I'm going to go here and click on one of these colors. Also, I can increase or decrease the transparency just by decreasing or increasing this value, or type in the value right here on the right box. It says 100% opaque. Let's say that I'm going to have it 50% opaque, which is going to be 50% transparent. Also, the color can be changed here, but I believe that this is going to be okay for me. I click on apply, and now you see this shape filled in. Do I want to increase the transparency? Let's say that yes, I'm going to increase it to 100%. So I'm just typing 100% here and click on apply. This is the shape that I have. Now this shape is kind of covering the environment. What I'm going to do is to move it to the back. So there is the concept of layers here. So I can just click on that, and you can see there are options for sending to back or sending to front. I'm going to click on send to back. It goes to the back. Now I can move it anywhere I want. Also, I can just delete this part if I don't want it. Also, it says that the text is going to be deleted, but let me create one more here. So I just go to text, select this one. I'm going to go to background, select one of these colors. Let's say, for example, this one, and click on apply, and this is going to be filled for me. Now I'm going to move it up. I'm going to send it to back. And then I want to click on here. Double clicking is going to give me this, this handle to increase or decrease the size of this. I'm going to do this using here. Now you can see that it can be expanded as much as I wish. I'm going to click outside, and now I can move it where I want to. So let's say that, for example, this is going to be what I want to have. Let me double click on this one more time, and I'm going to go to here and drag it to the right, and then click outside. What I'm going to do is to have the same thing at the bottom with different color. So let me move this a little bit to the left. Let me duplicate this because I'm not going to create another text. That's going to be exactly similar to this with different color. So what I'm going to do is to right click and click on duplicate. That's going to give me the same shape. I'm going to move it to the place which I want to have. Of course, I can select both of the shapes and align them, but right now that's okay. If I want to change the color, all I need to do is to double click on that, then go to the top toolbar and select another color for that. Let's say that, for example, this kind of a magenta color. I'm going to apply it and click somewhere, and this is the shape that I have here. Let me decrease the size a little bit. You can go over here and use a slider. That would be much better, of course. But you can increase or decrease the size by going to the zoom level of the browser itself. So let's say that I want to add a picture to my environment. What I need to do again is to go to add text. Right click, go to text, and then you can see that one of the options inside text is the picture. So I click on this, click on insert image, and then choose the image that you want to. For example, CCNP, the PNG is the picture which I'm going to add to my environment. Click on open, and that's going to be added to your environment. So I can move it to the left, to the right, wherever I want to, and that's going to be editable if I double click on that. Of course, not this one. Let me cancel this out and just move it to the place which I wish to have it. So there are lots of other capabilities, but if I want to continue, this video is going to be super long. What I want you to do is to explore the capabilities, and in later sessions I'm going to show you how you can start your devices, how you can work with these devices, and how you can save all the configuration that you have done, and anything else that you can do inside this environment.